Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Torriero, and I'm joining you from Tentramar, New Brunswick, where PARC is hosting our annual Playwrights retreat. And today I'm joined by two lovely retreat participants, Melissa Mullen and Rob MacLean. How are you guys doing?
Great. It's been a great week so far.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel like there's
intense.
smoke coming out of my head.
It's great to be able to focus,
Hmm.
not to have other things breaking in. And I mean, for everybody that has been out of school for a few years, like
Hmm.
we have, life is always so busy, and this sets it all aside, and we can just focus on what we're doing. So it's great.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Amazing. So one of our questions is, how has your time been in Sackville so far, and how has that influenced your writing, being here?
Well, we have spent more time in the last 4 or 5 days together writing this play than we have in many, many months. It's just such compact, compressed time. It's fantastic. We're just at it all the time.
Yeah, there's no comparison with getting like pried out of your usual habitat and plunked down somewhere where you can, you go for a walk, you can talk about things. Sackville is beautiful, so you get a break if you want a break, and you can walk through the waterfowl park and so on. So it's terrific, and you know that this is your primary focus, so you're not squeezing it in between other things.
Amazing. So tell us about your script. Why was it important for you guys to tell this story? And why now?
Uh, well, the script is what the challenge and the promise of the script, I guess, is that it's based on a true story of my father who was shot down over Nazi occupied Europe in 1942. He was a pilot and he escaped with the help of the resistance or the underground, I guess you'd call it. And so this is a story that happened to hundreds of people back then, and it's a story, I guess it's important to tell mostly for the people who helped him because they're not so well known, but they were incredibly courageous. And they were ordinary people in a sense. I mean, they were extraordinary because of what they did. Most people didn't do that kind of thing, but they didn't look like heroes and they weren't the people you would have picked to be heroes necessarily, but they absolutely were. And many of them died, were captured and tortured and killed and died doing this. But it is a story that's is that we need to learn all the time, is sort of the courage of people who can resist things. And I suppose part of the reason for telling it now is that we realize the generation that experienced that firsthand is mostly gone.
Mm.
And so there's we're just one remove from it. So it's a story we can carry on. So
I think also today there's so much, it's seen people feel the stress of so much insanity going on in the world. And there's always a call for people to quietly resist
Yeah.
what they are morally against and to do
Mm.
to try to do their best in difficult situations. And I think it's a good reminder of that, this story is.
Absolutely. It's really important to not forget our history and how we're here today and the setbacks
and
that
it's a
we might
cliffhanger.
have, but also how we've evolved. And yeah, very important to remember people who do resist.
Yeah.
It's very important. So who or what inspires you as writers, both of you?
When I was a kid, I lived on an isolated farm in high school, and I found high school tough.
Mhm.
Uh, and this novel, I think my sister had read it. She was older, she was into weird things, and she read a lot. And it's a novel called The Master and Margarita Rita by Mikhail Bulgakov.
Mhm.
And it's set during Soviet times in Moscow. And the devil, who is sort of this super magician in this story, comes to Moscow and he turns everything upside down and plays with the whole system. And this eruption of the fantastic into this really regimented gray society that Stalin had created was just, I just found it completely enthralling. And I walked around outside reading this book for about 3 days until I could get through it. And that really, I guess, inspired me with its freedom and imagination. And as far as theater goes, there's a play called Our Country's Good that came out about 30 years ago that Timberlake Vertenbaker wrote, and it just tells a huge story with all kinds of characters in these short, vivid scenes, and just the way she moves the story around and goes from high levels of society to low levels and back and forth was really eye-opening to me as a way the story could be told. So those things were inspiring.
Yeah, and what inspires you, Melissa?
Uh,
Later.
I, I love both of those artists, but I love Canadian stories. I really love hearing our own stories and telling our own stories because we think we're a pretty modest country, which doesn't perhaps have a lot of really exciting things happening, but it does, and we have to know ourselves. So I like the idea of contributing to that.
I love that. So how do you guys write, especially because you're a collaboration, and how is the writing of Making It Home going for you guys? How does that work? What's your process of working together? Is there anything about your process that you'd like to highlight or just share?
Um, Again, we go back to getting away from our regular life because we're here and we're actually sharing one little room here, and I'm an early riser, so I'll get up and work away on some scenes, and then when Rob gets up, I'll send the scenes to him, and then he looks them over and we discuss them and he makes changes, and then we'll perhaps act out another scene. We'll sort of figure out, well, what's going to happen next, and we'll sort of talk it through and act it out a little bit, and then one of us will go away and write for a while maybe the other one goes and makes some sandwiches, and it's just sort of back and forth. It's quite fluid. It's been really, really fun.
Yeah, it's kind of, I guess, it's kind of elements of improvisation too. Like sometimes well, with this particular story, because it's true, you get kind of handcuffed by that.
Yeah.
Because you feel, oh, well, I don't have the right to change this or that and so on. But we realize as the process goes on, and we're working with Pam Hallstead, she's our dramaturg, and you realize, okay, well, you got to loosen up a little bit, and some things have to be compressed. So we're sitting together, and maybe we've got a puzzle of, okay, we have a scene. What's new about this scene that didn't happen in some other scene, and how does it move the story forward, and so on. And we'll talk about it, and we kind of improvise it in a sense of.
We're both actors too, so that helps. We just sort of act it out a bit, and then...
So you find yourself getting up like, okay, so now this happens, and so on. And then so we're sort of, I guess we're kind of setting out beats or discovering beats that way, and sometimes you might have a line that you think, so then maybe he says blah blah blah, and but mostly it's kind of the beats, and then most of the time, we go turn and turn about, like, but not far away, and then we're blending it and putting it together, and so
it's been great.
yeah.
I absolutely adore that. Like the notion of acting out a scene to kind of like see where it goes and like improvise and discover maybe new things about your characters. I absolutely adore that. That's such an interesting process, and it's so lovely to learn from you guys. Lastly, before we end this interview, is there anything else you'd like to share, maybe about being at this retreat or park or anything like that?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed that the evenings so far have been these really special kind of gatherings. One night was for playwrights to talk about their process. Another night we've had the dramaturgs talk about, what's their history in dramaturgy? How did they get involved and what their process is? And then we've had I think it was only our third night in, we had this in their own words night where we got to see all of these people we just met read from their own works, and it broke the ice like nothing else for us to just get a sense of who one another are, and the volume level the next evening after that when we got together was so much higher than 2 nights earlier because we all suddenly felt like fast friends. It was really terrific.
Yeah, we started the first night, we were all quiet, and Santi was talking and telling us this and that and the other thing. And last night he couldn't hardly get the attention of the room. There was all this yakking, it was really loud.
Because it's
So-
so amazing to be with other theater artists and
Yeah.
talking about what we do.
Yeah, yeah. So that was awesome. I'm going to turn my phone off
You
because
are,
it's
you
going.
are so good.
But there. What else was it? Oh, I was going to say about that in their own words that it was lovely partly because it wasn't necessary. It might have been from plays, but it was also sort of a grab bag. I don't know if you ever went to the corner store and they have those like for 50 cents, you get a surprise bag of candies, but you don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, but they were good surprises. Like sometimes you take that bag and it's not good, but they were all there was so much variety, and it was a little bit all over the place, but there were themes that emerged, so it was really yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, it's so lovely. The events here are so nice, and I'm so glad that you guys were able to connect with other playwrights so quickly and dramaturgs and other people. And it's always such a blessing to be able to talk to other artists and share things, and you learn so much, and I find it very inspiring to just talk with others, and sometimes that might really help you also with your writing process, which is amazing. I love that.
Sure, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we're gonna end the interview now. It was such an amazing opportunity to have you guys talk with me, and share your experiences and your process as writers. Yeah,
Thank you so
thank you
much,
so
Laura, and
much.
thanks for all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
yeah.
much.
You're